As you can imagine, the early morning and early afternoon were just filled with panic for everyone, especially her family. Reagan's sister Mackenzie posted on Twitter about her disappearance, which she actually said she debated whether or not she should share it. She was worried that if Reagan was found, that she couldn't take back the post, but she did end up deciding to just go ahead and tweet about it, and it gained traction super quickly. But what nobody knew at the time, though, was that Reagan had already been found. Hours earlier that day, someone driving into the Scioto Grove Metro Park spotted a body that at first glance, he couldn't tell if it was real. He sounded pretty freaked out in the call, and he wasn't sure if it was a mannequin or something, but it was real, and it was Reagan. She was naked, and she had suffered 2 gunshot wounds to her head. At the time, though, nobody knew it was her because investigators didn't find a phone or a wallet or anything that would identify who she was. The only identifying features she really had was her necklace and then this small tattoo of a circle that she had on her side. And so for several hours, she was just considered a Jane Doe. There was a girl who had run away just one town over, so they were thinking maybe it could be her, but within an hour, they were pretty confident that it wasn't, because around that time is when they got word that a senior at Ohio State had been reported missing, and her description matched that of the remains they had found. To be sure, though, detectives ended up going to Bodega to speak with Reagan's friends directly, and that's ultimately where they learned that she had the same tattoo as their victim, and that necklace she was wearing was the same one that Reagan wore. And pretty soon after that, Lisa and Toby got the call that no parent should ever have to receive, that this body they found was their daughters. In an interview she gave, Lisa described feeling like there had to be some kind of mistake. I mean, this was her child, who she had just spoken to the day earlier. There was just no way that she could be gone. She could not wrap her mind around it. But this body was Reagan's, and their worst nightmare was literally unfolding in front of them. And on top of it all, they weren't there. They no longer lived in Ohio because they had moved to Florida just a few years prior for Toby's job. And so Reagan's uncle, who lived only a few hours away, ended up having to be the one to make that incredibly difficult identification of Reagan's body. And this was every bit as painful and beyond devastating as you can imagine for everyone. Reagan's murder was just so heart-wrenching, and it left a lot of people in the community feeling terrified. Nobody knew if there was some, crazy violent person on the streets, and quite frankly, there was. None of her roommates were even able to go home that night because they knew that her killer likely had her wallet, which meant that he had access to her ID with her address on it.